So good evening, welcome to the Donny Chain Gang, and welcome to Oakley August. As you can see, I've managed to dig out my very old, it is truly old, Oakley hat. It's assuming very, very well. It's gone underneath the race hat with the peak down for many, many years, and I've been a long time user, I must admit. Even got the Oakley shades on, Oakley glasses on today because my eyesight is basically rubbish. My name's Matt Payne, welcome to the Donny Chain Gang. And it is Oakley August. We've got a great competition and loads of giveaways coming up, which like we did when we first started the Chain Gang. And we're going to have a little bit longer chat than normal. We're going to get in touch with the man that you can see up on your screens at the moment, who's just warming up. That is Russ Downing. It's been a busy week for Russ, so first of all, let's see if we can get in touch with him on the phone. Who knows? It may work first time. We shall see.
Hey up.
Hey up. Now then, Russ, how are you?
Not bad, not bad.
I've got my Oakley hat on today. I've decided it beats having a bad hair day for a start. It's a proper old school racing cap to go underneath in when the weather's bad. It's been a bit grim today, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's not been good, but yeah, I've not been out on my bike, so it doesn't matter to me.
Ah, fresh legs then. Fresh legs.
I don't know about fresh legs. Building fences and gates till 5 o'clock is not the best preparation, but yeah, that's what happens nowadays, isn't it? Now you're a retired bike rider.
Yeah, welcome to the world of DIY. You'll be a dab hand at planters and stuff like that next. That's kind of going to be the plan.
I don't know about that. I don't go that far.
Excellent. And great to see we've got fantastic giveaways throughout August as well. And it's somebody that you know, and somebody that we've always been grateful for the support from. And we've got a whole load of Oakley goodies to give away through the weeks, and a competition throughout the whole month of August.
Yeah, it's Ian from 1080 Limited down in Norwich. His shop is, known him for a long time now, and he's been on the gang first off. It's not been too good for the last few weeks. He's been busy getting the shop back up and running, so he's been tired out, so he's not been on the gang, and he feels guilty, so he's thrown some prizes in the pot for not being on the gang, and that's great for him, and I'm not sure if he's on tonight, but
he is. He is. He started. I'm not so sure whether we'll see him finish or not. And the competition is really good. So we've got a few giveaways each week, and they're going to be up on the Facebook page of what we're giving away. So there's some T-shirts, there's some Oakley caps and stuff, and we'll give you those details out through the course of the coming rides. But of course, over the month, there's going to be a pair of proper full-on Oakley shades coming up. When there might be shades like this, they've got to go diving back through the collection. It might be a set of race shades. So these are my well-battered racing shades when I was racing. We may be giving away. They are these, Russ. You'll remember these. These are limited edition. You can see how badly scratched these are because I've had them. Tour of Ireland, limited edition from the year you won the tour. You can't have them, Russ. I promise you. You don't want them. The lenses look like they've been through World War III. But there's going to be some fantastic sets of shades going up for grabs, and it's going to be for the person who comes up with the best, most improved story, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all about just having a crack nearly, and putting some having a bit of banter on the Facebook group. So yeah, fire away. If you think it's a stupid story, a serious story, whatever, post away, and we'll have a bit of banter.
That's what we want, isn't it? We want to be able to you who's done it, post it up on the Facebook page. Let us know. It might be because I actually managed to get up Beeley and only got hammered by the missus for a couple. Well, actually, it was 5 minutes. So I got beaten up Beeley this week, so I take that as a win for me. It might be that you've improved your FTP by 0.001 of a watt, or it might be thousands. Who knows? We wait to find out, and that's going to be good. But it's not all good news, is it? Because of course, this week we've seen the loss and the funeral of an absolute key man around the Doncaster and around the Sheffield area, haven't we?
Yeah, Dougie Bond he passed away a couple of weeks ago now. I think he was 87. So he's had a great innings. He still was riding his bike up until I think the last year, and then he became not sort of great on his feet. But yeah, he passed away a couple of weeks ago, and it's sad. But we had a great send off for him yesterday down in Blythe. We had various clubs, riders, family were all there, and we, it was kind of weird with the social distancing and that, but we did his bit, and we all sent him off nicely, really.
Yeah, and the picture we've got up on screen at the moment for the viewers is actually one of Dougie time trialing his way down the main A1 with the sign for Doncaster right up at the top, pointing exactly where he was going, and he certainly supported a lot of events. I mean, we're not just talking about local Doncaster riders. I mean, I remember him last being at the Sheffield Grand Prix when I was on the mic and having him up on stage, and his pleasure at watching riders, it never changed, did it? He loved watching good bike riders going quick.
Oh yeah, he could see some great talent from the young days, But like you say, yeah, he was always at Sheffield Grand Prix, and it was a pleasure to have a chat to him before the start or after the. He didn't like to see him after the finish, because if he did a rubbish ride, he'd tell you, Dougie. He'd like, "Oh, come on in, you've been partying too hard or something." But no, he'd
love it.
He was a great guy, and yeah, it was a sad day yesterday, but I'm sure a good send off. And yeah, I'm just looking at the image now of him going down the A1. That's pure class, that, mate.
It is. It's an absolute class, and I remember both these. The man sort of doing the organising and being behind a lot of the hard work behind the scenes, but also a bit of a beast on the bike as well, which is, it's great to see. And like you say, he was riding his bike right pretty much up until the end. I'm not sure that he'd particularly like the final climb we've got coming up today. We'll show the viewers as you guys get kicking off what's in store. It's a brutal last climb, so we've got 3 laps of the circuit. We've got laps of the circuit of the Innsbruck ring with the leg snapper climb that we normally use, but then we're going to go up the big climb to finish. So what point are people going to be let free today? Are you going to let them go really early, really late? What's the plan?
I think, myself and you had a quick chat, Matt, earlier, and I think we'll try and keep it as a good group, and then everyone gets a mega workout on the final climb. So we're going to try and keep the block tight, as we say on Zwift, and then pass through the finish the last time, and then I might type a go on screen and let it erupt.
So we think it's going to go right the way to the final or the start finish line as is. On the standard Innsbruck ring circuit for the last time. So that's going to be about 30-ish K to go, isn't it? We're going to hit that, just do some quick mental maths, which I need more of the Grand Tour coffee. I'm on podium today, Russ. It's very nice, isn't it? I must admit.
The podiums are nice.
Yeah. Well, I'd like the ruler, but I thought I might need double, so I'm actually on a double espresso tonight of podium, because I think it's going to be pretty manic tonight. So let's see if we can all stay together. Listen, you need to get typing as well as doing the riding, so multitasking time. Thanks very much, Russ. Let's get across, and we're going to show the viewers the course. Have a great ride, mate.
Copy and paste, mate. That's what it's all about.
Love it. Right, let's show you what Russ and all of the gang on the Donny Chain Gang have got. This is Innsbruck, the after party, the KOM after party. This is absolutely crunch. Now, you can see in the centre of your screen there is a tiny little circle that our blue dot is going round. That blue dot is going to circle around the course. It goes round Innsbruck ring circuit, up Lake Snapper climb, through the sprint and round the circuits. Now we're going to do this. We're going to go through the finishing line 3 times, and after the 3rd time through, we go straight on and up onto the climb. And you can see it's a long way heading down the screen. What the graphic doesn't show you is just how big this is. So 3 laps, 3 sprints, 3 finish lines, but this is the key information. Look at this. That's how big it is. So if you can see just up on the screen over there, you'll see we have a tiny little circuit, a teeny weeny bit down at the bottom. That small circuit has a height climb. Now we climbed just over 30 metres on the Lake Snapper climb. This is enough normally to rip the group apart. However, we're doing that 3 times. And the Lake Snapper, you can see a little tiny wedge right down at the very bottom, right the way down about somewhere down there. You can just see there's a tiny little wedge on the circuit. It goes to about 300 metres, but it goes from 280. So we're only doing about 30 plus metres, about 33 metres at most, climb to get up there. It's not very much when you come to the big climb where we are going to come in. Now the final climb on this circuit, bearing in mind there's 640 metres in total, we do 400 metres of climbing on the final climb up, and that is 4.6 miles or 7.4k. That is going to be tough stuff. There is no way, I don't think, that we're going to see the group coming together onto there. Now the aim is to go around the circuit 3 times, so let's get across. The riders are up and riding, but remember this graphic, guys. This is key. This is where we're going to go around. We're going to go round the little loop down at the bottom left of your screen 3 times. We're then going to split off onto the climb, and as they split onto the climb, that is where it should go. And if Russ has got everything together, then it's going to be really interesting to see if that group is going to stay as one group, or whether or not it is going to split up before it gets there. Absolutely critical that they make it in one piece. So let's get ourselves across and let's see where everybody is out on the ride. Big pack of riders, as you can see, on the way past at the moment, and going to be really interesting to see how they all deal with this. It is a big group, and in fact I can just see Luke Taylor just in front of Russ here. So if you've not watched the Down in Chain Gang before, remember, it's not meant to be a race, but it often ends up as. One thing you can pretty much guarantee is you're going to get dropped, because it gets really, really quick at the end. Remember, we've had people like Ben Swift on there, Connor Swift, we've had Alex Barnes on here, we've had riders like Lily Swan on here, we've got Millie Skinner coming on regularly, got Maddie Smith on already on here. By the look of it, it looks to me like Jess Evans is on here. We have people like Steve Cummings, all these riders, all these really fast guys coming out and riding, and no matter who you are, at some point you are likely to get dropped. So what happens then when you do get dropped? Get in a group and let's see how that's all going to hold together. Now what the riders are doing is they're going to work their way around the circuit. If you remember the map that we showed you at the start, then what we're going to do, we're going to get the riders out onto the circuit. They go round 3 loops. Now they've set off, currently covered 2.2 kilometres, and you can see that up on the screen in front of you. Dead centre on the screen, we're just watching Russ's numbers. We have 156 watts, we've got 102 revs per minute, heart rate currently at 100, and the rider's taking the right hand turn at that roundabout now. As they turn right on this roundabout, they're going back in towards the main circuit. Let's take a little bit of a jump up and take a look. Russ is there. You can just see the Pinarello there. We'll try and drop in on Russ. So he's on his Pinarello Dogma there, and Russ rolling around looking good. So don't forget, guys, Russ out and riding. He's got the yellow chevron up above his head, and Russ currently rolling around at the back of this big group, and you can see that pack just if we zoom across. Now heading over the bridge. Now we're climbing back in towards Innsbruck proper in the mountains. So you can see on the top right of your screen, 2% climb at the moment as the riders are coming up here, and that is going to test these riders out as they make their way up the climb. Always interested to see just how hard it is as they make their way up there. At the moment looking good though, and at the moment everybody nice and smooth together. So Martin Bolt has our chevron, the red chevron on there, and Martin currently kicking out 3.3 watts per kilo. Just keeping an eye on all these riders. Looks like Andy Hawes is back with us again. Good to see Andy coming back. Definitely one of our really improved riders. Phil Pearce is out. Phil had a good ride up here last time we played out on the King of the Mountains. Now our riders coming in, and they're going to be heading in and around the turn. Here we go. And the riders now dropping down. It's -6% just as you come around that corner. As you drop in, looking pretty smooth at the moment as they keep on going in. But we're going to see just how they're going on now. Remember the giveaways. Get on the Facebook page, the Donny Chain Gang Facebook page. Tell us your stories. Tell us how you've improved. Tell us what Chain Gang means to you. We want to see that. We want to know that. And it's Ian's way, supporting with one of the brands that he's always been a fan of. And I've got to say, he's not alone in that. I've probably spent far too much time with uncles myself. I've had a fair few pairs over the years. And I used to have cheap sunglasses. I tended to leave them behind, tended for them to get broken. Now all this group holding together nicely now. I've seen a few names in here that I recognise from my racing days as well. The question is, are they the same riders I was racing? We will soon find out. Some of the riders I haven't raced, thank goodness, include Becky's story, and I think it's going to be Becky who is leading this group out. Let's take a little bit of a look. Becky's right up at the front of the group. If we take a look up above, she's in the purple kit, just riding along for the Isle of Man, rolling round up near the front as these riders come in and through. Good to see pretty much everything. Looks like Ash Wood is in this group, Andy Horse. Stefano Borelli is here. Mr. Borelli, another rider who's definitely improved whilst he's been on the chain gang, and a busy man. Currently, they're after a new chef down at the Nonna's where he works. You just hear, we just hit the cobbles. It's got really loud, and what you've got to love is this immersive experience that you get with Zwift. A massive thank you to Zwift and all of our sponsors. You'll see them across the bottom of your screen. Without them, we just can't make this happen, and we've got to say a massive thank you. Remember, the guys like Wahoo, like Halo, like Pinarello, who supported Russ all the way through. Grand Talk of it, Big Ben Genko doing the business, and looks like we've got Shez Pro. Shez is Sherry Pridham, and Sherry, of course, the rider, the DS former rider who is in charge of the Vita squad, and she's got Joey Walker with us. So we're going to see if Joey's going to be our rider who's going to take it on from the front. Is he going to be the man who is going to be leading this out? We're currently just following story. Let's get up above these riders. We go up on to the climb. Now this is the Lake Snapper climb. This is where things get interesting. And you can see if we take a look up already, it's starting to stretch out. We're going to have a regroup after this climb. I'm going to try and get above the houses and look back down. So Martin Bolt, our ever faithful Lantern Rouge, sitting at the back of the group there. You can just see the pillar of red up above him. And I think we're going to see Becky nicely holding in the group. So Becky at the moment riding comfortably alongside Phil Pearce here, and very close to the front. It looks like the guys are really smooth on the way up here. Looks like Adi Dench rolling around up near the front here. He's one of the very fast guys from Sheffield who have put together the company time trial, and Adi knows the score. He's going to be backing off to go over. Chris from the Alliance MTB, one half of Maverick and Goose, the duo of Chavaria and Chris. The two riders who have improved time on time again. Victoria, though, at the moment over in Costa Rica, they've got slightly different lockdown conditions. So you can see Becky here just pushing up towards the front of the group, and you can tell the speed just picking up here. And there's going to come a cry to try and knock the pace off at the front. Becky making sure she's got a little bit of sliding room, I think, here. As we look behind, you can see how broken up it is. If you look at the top of your map, it is one long line. We're going to have to zoom right out, in fact, to get it. The last rider is just cresting the hill here, as our riders on the way down are making their way in through the town of Innsbruck here. And as you can see, we're just zigzagging our way into the group, just starting to coalesce around the shape of Dench and Story. Just getting that group together at the moment. Certainly looking pretty smooth here as they drop down. Oxon in here, Glenn Thorley is in here, James Doxey is in here as well. Looks like legging this group, Haas right in the group as well. So let's see, they're on the run in now towards the sprint. If we take a look, we'll change that map view across to 3D. You can see that we're going to have the sprint banner coming up. The riders will need to regroup after this, otherwise we're not going to be together. And so you see the tricky run in here. We've got a 2% climb up in towards the sprint. The sprint start where the green dashed line is. Just seen, I think, a couple more riders making their way up pretty quickly here. Big kick coming, I think, from Phil Pearce in towards the line. So I think Phil's going to try and push on. He's back right off already to know what's per kilo. Little bit of a kick, so nobody else was going for it really on the way through. And that group currently one long line, looking good at the moment. I don't think we've got too many people too far behind. We're going to shoot back down the groups now. One of the big advantages of the Swift platform is that we can keep an eye on exactly who's where. So these are our last 2 riders currently on the course. Ignore me at the bottom, Matt Fix a Pain there. I don't exist really. I'm sat on the start line. I can't ride and do this at the same time. Struggle to ride at the best of times, don't mind. Talk and ride, it's not going to happen. So here we go. So this is going to be Rich Shade. Rich currently riding along. Rich looking pretty smooth at the moment on his way through. Currently riding Smart Trainer on there. 7k covered for Rich as he goes through. He's got company with Amy Moore on there. And they're just about 7 seconds behind Martin Bolt. Martin's our red beacon. So Martin is here. And if we take a look back from Martin, you can just about make out underneath Russ's messages exactly where our riders are. There you go, just appearing out from underneath the message. The 2 riders behind, and those are Amy Moore and Rich Shade, just coming to try and catch up with Martin Bolt. Bolt has got Jules in front, so if we take a look from Martin, this is the side view of Martin Bolt. In front of Martin, this is a Martin's eye view at the moment. This is Jules. Jules just about to get some company. A couple of seconds up the road. We'll drop across to the avatar view, so you can see Martin's avatar in the orange, white and black, just pursuing Jules. But the gap opening up to the back of the main bunch. 37 seconds away, we have a group of riders. So it looks like George Cooper in this group as they come through. So let's have a look who's at this group. They're currently about 11 seconds off the main group. We've got Gibbons, Locke, Williams, we've got the man from Cycleways there, Atkinson in this group as well. So at the moment there's a group of about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 riders, about 12 seconds off the back of Borelli, 18 seconds off the main group. So Russ is going to need to just back that main group at the front and trying to get the group to come back in. 18 seconds at the moment, that gap, so there needs to be a big backing off. The leading group, we're going to jump up to them. And if we jump up above, you'll just see coming up in front of them is the main gantry. Now, this is passage number 1 on the way through, 1 full lap complete as they come underneath it. And this is where, after the 3rd passage through, we're going to see the gloves come off and we're going to see everybody go through. Looks like Mr. Chamberlain sitting in there looking pretty comfy at the moment. Maddie Smith in there. She's looking pretty smooth on the way through. No problems in holding this bunch. So through they go. If we take a little bit of a whip round behind them, you can see that is a big gap back now to the riders behind. So that gap at the moment, it looks like the gap is 17 seconds at the moment. So 17 seconds back to a group of 8 riders who are at the moment being distanced. Now the front of this group sitting around about 2.2 watts per kilo. We're just taking a look, and I think this is Dan Ladle. I'm going to have to just jump off Dan's profile, I think, because Dan is the rider who is right up at the front. Now, if this is a Dan Ladle, very talented young rider who was around when I was racing for Seacroft Wheelers. Now, the question is it the same? Can't tell at the moment. We're going to soon find out. We're going to jump across to another of our very quick riders. We're going to jump across to Lily Swan. So Lily, another of our faster riders. So I'm just going to watch this group come through. Lily currently kicking out 170 watts per kilo. And certainly looking very smooth up near the front. Now the front of this group holding still sub 3 watts per kilo, but they are going to need to back it off a little bit more if they're going to hold that group and not let it go too far back. We don't want them to drop too far back. Could go back about 17 seconds the last time check. It's down to 14 seconds now, so they are coming back, if but slowly. So there's going to need to be a bit more backing off. I think it's going to need to go to minus less than 2 watts per kilo on the front if they're going to let these guys come in. Not sure whether that's going to happen or not. This group slowly coming back. They're at 14 seconds. Need to keep the pressure off though, so we'll see if Russ can hold them together. So now 8 seconds is the gap. We're going to take a little look behind. I think Chris Oxenham is right on the back of the group. We're just going to watch here. Oxenham is just pulling back. So Gibbons and Cooper really pulling back into this group. Atkinson's about 6 seconds back. Oxenham and one of our regular riders riding on the Zwift concept bike, the Tron bike there, helping pull people back. And Mr. Locke, another of our regulars there. Now, just behind Oxenham is Williams. Williams is 2 seconds off Oxenham, 5 off the back of the group, as is Atkinson. Now, Atkinson's pushing out 3.8 watts per kilo, and as you can see from Atkinson's avatar here, he's not making it on. We're going to come to the roundabout, and you can see if we zoom out on the map, this is the right-hand turn, and at the moment that's 12 seconds. So Oxenham is currently about 8 seconds off the back of the bunch. Williams is currently sitting at about 8 to 9 seconds. Atkinson at the moment 10 seconds off the back of the bunch. They can't afford for that bunch to speed up. It's really, really hard. This is why you've got to fight not to lose that wheel. If we take a zoom in up above, you can just see as we come around the corner, the gap back. Atkinson is the blue arrow on your screen. Russ is the yellow beacon. And Russ just trying to keep the team together. And interesting to see Atkinson now pushing his way in. He's up to Oxenham here and Williams. Can he drag them through? Atkinson's pushing 4 watts per kilo. Oxenham responds at 5 watts per kilo, just trying to jump onto the wheel. Williams is just about holding these wheels. You can see this group there chasing Phil Pearce. I think Phil Pearce has dropped back to help. We know Phil is a very competent rider, and he will have dropped back just to give the guys a bit of a chance to get back on again, as will Chris from the Alliance MTB squad. So great to see that teamwork, guys. Brilliant stuff as Williams makes the junction. Here he comes. This is the back of the group, and Williams is on. Fantastic stuff, and that is great to see. That's exactly what we want to see from the chain gang. So it looks like sitting behind we have Martin Bolt, we've got Jules, we've got Richard, we've got Amy. All those riders though a distance between 1.5 and nearly 2 minutes off the back of the group. So great to see the group working well. Let's take a look up in the sky as Atkinson makes his way up and through, and Atkinson at the moment really has worked his way well in there in the blue, right up alongside Aiden. You can just see rolling round at the front now. The riders are on the way in through town. If we change our map view, just top right hand side of your screen, you see it's pretty much together at the moment, and these riders now are making the way along through the winding streets here. Now let's take a little look. Let's see if we can focus on a few of other regular riders. Let's get across, see if we can drop in to Spence Hill. Spence, another of our regular riders, just jumping up on to the front of the group there in that GCN kit, just rolling to the front and just moving back as the riders come in and through. So great to see all these riders riding so well. It's a really good bunch. There's not too many people look to be at distance. We've got about 4 riders off the back of the group, but nobody too far back. And all the regular suspects up in the front. So we've got for the women in that front group, Becky Story holding well in that group. Looks like Imogen Wolf is in there. Great to see Imogen riding so strong, improving every week. Definitely a very improved rider, that's for sure. We've also got looks like Jess is in it. Jess Evans is in. Lily Swan in here. We've got Shez Prochez, the DS for the Vitus squad, is in this group as well. And our riders on to the cobbles. You can hear they're on the way in to where it gets tough. This group just about hung together. I think one of the riders just off the back. Now it's an incredible noise. If you've got a really good smart turbo, you're going to feel the kick coming in and through the wheels as the riders come in and through. We're going to jump up to the helicopter shot, if only to save my voice on the way through. It's so loud, and this group is looking good as they come in. We're going to zoom in a little bit. There's one rider just hovering around the back of the group. We're going to try and see who it is. It may well be Stefano Barelli, who is the rider just at the back. Stefano, the general manager of the Nonna's restaurant, great restaurant in Sheffield, just on Ecclesall Road. Stefano trying to move his way up here, just seeing the blue here, just out of the saddle here as they go up on to the climb. They're really looking strong, and this group just holding together. So he's got himself back into the group at the moment, and that little bit of a drop off, not transparent to be a problem for him. He's got himself back in here nice and comfortably. Now let's go take a check out Shez. So Shez Pro, Shez one of our regular riders. Let's drop a thumbs up on top, and let's see, there goes the thumbs up. Shez looking pretty comfy. We're just going to have to, I think, drop into our drone cam of Shez, a regular Zwift rider. She's already climbed to the height of Everest and up into the stratosphere. 50,000 meters of climbing required to get the Tron bike, the Zwift concept bike. At Shez here, 163 watts, 176 beats per minute. Remember, Shez, of course, a very experienced rider, having ridden the Tour Feminin, the old women's Tour de France as was, and Shez just engaging the power up there, just reducing the weight on the way through. The effect that gravity has just to sit nicely in that bunch. Good timing on the way up and over as she engages that. Now this is where we're going to see just how far that group is in front. Looks like that's a little behind, just working his way down here. Now is he going to be able to get himself back into the group? It's certainly looking pretty smooth up on the front. Shez working her way through here. She's quickly onto Williams' wheel. Looks like Swan's up in the front. Remember, this is one long train. It's a little bit roller coastery here. Good to see Davis is in this group. I think we're going to see a group forming because these guys are about 6 or 7 seconds. Shez riding strongly here. She's got Lily Swan here. And Swan is a very fast rider indeed when it comes to the sprint. If we take a look up on the map, you can see plenty of these riders already in and round the corner. We're going to try and work our way up towards the front of this group. West is already working hard here to try and get in with the Downing group. I think the Downing group, though, is incredibly quick. We're trying to work our way up to the very front, and we're really struggling to get in there. I think Phil Pearce is up in this group. Phil kicking at 13 watts per kilo. Is he going to take the fastest time? Remember, at the moment it's around about 20 seconds. Phil here is working out, but look at those red numbers going as these riders go in over the line. Who's going to take away the fastest time? I think it is going to be Doxy. Pearce comes in with a 15.99. Lawrence Coyle comes in with a 15.66. Takes it away from Doxy. So Coyle has come in, Lawrence Coyle, with a 15.66 on the way through to take the jersey, and Coyle doing a great job there on his way in and through the line. He's quickly off the power though, because you can see he's dropped back. Doxy, then Downing, then Pearce, then it's a Richardson, and this is where Russ is going to have to be pretty strong to get that back together. Let's take a look at Coyle if we can jump onto his avatar here. And Coyle, look at that heart rate, 173 beats per minute at the moment. He's a fit boy because it's coming back down nice and quickly. Just going to zoom in to Coyle so you can watch out for the correct jumper here. Coyle is in the orange jersey here, and interesting to see that he is already set up. He's riding on what is the second lightest set of wheels on Zwift. We're trying to get a view of his bike for you here. Second lightest set of wheels on Zwift after the Mellensteins. And remember, the Mellenstein wheels, the lightest wheels on Zwift, you can only get by getting them on the random wheel up at the top of the Outdoor Zwift. The Outdoor has a copy in Watopia, and he's got the lightweight wheels, so he thinks he's going to be in there. He's alongside Jess Evans, and of course Jess is our women's green jersey. Now Jess is in the white jersey in there. She's just going to appear from behind. Coyle's just going around the far side. So Jess Evans taking the sprint for the women, currently with a 17.8 second sprint time. So that's a really fast sprint time for the women as well. 12th overall as the riders go through, and I think Shez at the moment kicking out the Mayday signals a little bit further back. So let's have a recap of the times of the riders for you at the moment. We're going to get all our riders round the bend, and then we're going to take a look. So at the moment, we are focused in on Jess Evans in the front of that group, and these riders as they go through, it certainly looks like the gaps are opening behind a little bit here. We've got groups at 14 seconds, Maddie Smith, Lily Swan at 20 and 29 seconds, Shez at 38, 45 seconds down. We've got riders like Davies and Williams. We've got Little and Kipling. They're currently sitting at nearly 1 minute 20, so there's going to need to be a massive regroup. If you look up at the top of the screen, as we go in and underneath the gantry, you see this group coming in and through. I think Dan's just shouting he's going to be out the back. She's just got lights on. She'll be okay. She's got Tron wheels on. She'll be fine. She's going to look after herself on about that's for sure. Very, very competent rider. But it's always good for the groups to regroup. They're about 2 minutes at the moment. Covers the very front to the very back of the group. And this is where we're going to take a look back, see who is going to have a chance of getting back in with Russ. So let's jump across to Russ and let's take a look back behind Russ at the moment. So behind Russ, we're going to have Edwards and Locke. We've got Jess Evans, but then it's going to be a gap back from behind Doxy. So behind Russ at the back of the group, and we're just taking a look back to see where people are. There's a bigger group sitting around about the 20 to 27 seconds of about 5 riders. Some class riders in there, Lily Swan and Shez, as well as Maddie Smith are sitting a little bit further back, and they are some class riders in there. Let's jump across to Lily and see if we can get in with that group a little bit further back. Here we go. So in with Lily Swan. So we've got at the moment 18 seconds up to the bunch in front. You've got Kooslugs and Lily Swan who are sat in this group, and Kooslugs is just a little bit off the pace. He's got Swan just dragging him along at the moment. He's 19 seconds out now. Swan's kicking hard to try and get back in. She's up to 4 watts per kilo to try and get in. So if they back off the pace, they're going to be able to pull back Swan. Potentially Maddie Smith. Smith's about 6 seconds back. She's got Corris. She's got Cycleways with her. You've got Barnard's 19 seconds back. Williams. So the groups are now starting to form. We've got a group of 3 here. Corris, Smith are together at the moment with Cycleways in front. 2 riders only 7 seconds up the road with Swan and Kooslugs. We've got Jose K at the moment, currently rolling round. Now this is a bigger group because it looks like Davis is in here, Shez is in here with this group as well. Looks like Williams is in here. Then it's a drop back to Dan Ladle. Dan, don't you be doing all the cakes, mate, that's no good. Dan's got Kipling behind, Barry Kipling, the old stager, Mr. Kipling. He's on his way. If you want cake, then Kipling's Cake's always an option. Behind then, you've got Jules and Martin Bolt who are rolling around there in front of Shade and Morn, who are currently 1 minute 20 off the back of Bolt. So Shade and Morn who are dragging the back of the bunch forwards. They're closing in on some of the riders in front, so doing a good ride here. Shade and Morn together. They're going to have had a fairly lonely ride, but hopefully working well together. They've got a little bit of time to make up on Jules and Bolt. And then we've got Ladle and Kipling who could get together if Ladle learns how to back off and not half a wheel him. Then it's going to be about 1 minute and 12 in front of them, which looks like that's going to be a group here of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 riders all together. Williams, we've got Shez Pridham in here. We've got the man from Cystic Fibrosis team who's rolling along nice and strongly in this group. That's Owen Davies. Davies from Wales wearing that GCN kit. We've got Barnard in here. Barnard's riding well as well. We've got Maddie Smith up the road with Corris and Cycleways. This group of 3 currently sitting at the moment 12 seconds off the back of the main, 15 seconds of the back of the main group. Sandwiched in between is Blackfoot, I think, although it just looks like it may well just be the jumps in the screen. Going to take a little bit of a look back down this group. You can see us dropping back through the bunch with the riders that we're watching. We're going to drop across to Russ. Russ is on the back of the screen. Can we see the group behind? It's 26 seconds to Corris and to Cycleways and Smith. That's not going to come back now. They've got Barnard and Jose K. That's going to be a group of 5 riders behind. Shez Pro in a group of 5 riders. So it's starting to become a group. I think this is going to be our leading group. Russ Downing rolling alongside Andy Hawes here. Hawes in the group. Hawes over there in the Assos kit at the moment. Let's see if we can take a look up. It's a rather smart Assos kit. You can see Andy just rolling through there. A shadow of his former self. Definitely another very improved rider. And of course, Andy, one of the key men at Sweet Spot and the guys who put on the Tour of Britain. Andy working his way in and through. If you take a look up, we're about to work our way back through town, gone over the first of the bridges as Borelli leads this group through. And for a man who was off the back, he's working his way up to the front quite nicely. So Mr. Brownlee is in here, Tiger Brownlee's in here. Let's take a focus on some of the people who may well be up there when we get in towards the kill. Now we have got a certain Joey Walker with us. Joey, a very, very fast man, a very quick rider. Former, of course, the national crit champ at the Sheffield Grand Prix. And definitely that was a ride that really made Dougie Bond very, very happy indeed. Another man to watch out for, we've focused on him already. Phil Pearce, he was good when we came up and through last time round. Phil's going to be in the green jersey. Rise for Hope Factory Racing. And Phil already putting in a good ride. Going to try and jump up and over. Phil is in there. He's see what bike, green bike. And got the green jersey on there, sitting right in the middle of that group. Phil rolling along, he's well up there in the sprints, I think 3rd or 4th in the sprints, and nicely in this pack. Now, other riders who are putting in a bit of a serious ride here, because this is a tough group to stay in with. It's the very front group. Imogen Wolf is doing the business here, and let's take a look at Imogen. We're going to drop up above without and use the we're going to use a helicopter shot. It's a little bit less loud than the mines that are down on the bikes as they go in and through the cobbles again. Oh no, there's a little bit of a drop down. Let's see if we can drop down. It's going to be a little bit noisy, I'll warn you about this. So as we look down at Imogen, we come off on to the tarmac. We're going to come up onto the climb. Imogen is down there in the yellow and black stripes at the moment. Imogen putting in a great ride here. She is absolutely flying today. Brilliant to see. She's one of our younger riders in the peloton at 14 years of age. I wish I was as good as Imogen was at 14. Absolutely flying. Now on to Lake Snapper once again. 23 kilometres covered. And already this group is starting to string out. You can see the power-ups coming. Those are the little indicators above the riders. We can see 1 or 2 feathers, so they're reducing the effect of gravity by about 20%. This group is going to need to come back together. Now Imogen's kicking out 6 watts per kilo, 300 watts. Remember, her watts per kilo is going to be really high because she's a young rider, and generally they weigh less so they can go uphill quicker. Joey Walker's right up here. Joey's going along at just under 6 watts per kilo. He's up at nearly 400 watts though to do the same thing. But interesting to see people like Becky Story, Lily Swan, Imogen Wolf, all in this group, all riding strongly. If we take a look at Joey at the moment, he's right up there in that Vitas kit. He's on the Tron bike, on the concept bike in the yellow. But if we take a little bit of a zoom out, we take a little bit of a look back, you can see behind that group is strung out behind them. They are in 1s and 2s behind. Let's zoom in on the map up above, and you can see at the moment we have one man a little bit clear off the front of the group. And that looks like that's Lee Spence Hill, who's got a little bit of a gap. 2 riders in fact, Lee Spence Hill and Stu Parr at 9 seconds up the road, and then 9 seconds up the road on this, the leading group. So 2 people gone, Spence Hill and Parr, and they are backed off because Parr's backed off to 1.8 watts per kilo. So Pa knows he's gone a bit early there. He's poked the bear. Let's see if Russ is going to respond to that. I think he's going to let him come back. We're going to see if they're going to hold that. It's looking like they're going to drop back in again. Meanwhile, the very front of this group, it's rolling down. I'm seeing 1s and 2 watts per kilos until it goes back up onto the climb. Now, nobody wants to let the gap go as these riders come in and through. And you just see Joey's just here. We're going to see them ease off until they get back over the line. Russ is going to try and keep this group together. Joey knows the score is rolling around at 2.8 watts per kilo. But this is going to be an elite little group, I think, who come in. They've definitely shed out of the 71 riders that we started off with. We're down to 69 riders now. And we're going to see just where they're going to end up. So you've got to get in and through the gantry. You just see Becky Story just putting in a bit of a kick here, wanting to go through and try and take that jersey back. We're going to see if she's going to do that. It's not going to be long before we find out. So here we go. Who is going to take that? Are we going to see a change in the jerseys? Are we going to see a change in who is holding the top positions at the moment? So Joey's just not bothering to go for that. That is for sure. Just take a look up at the top of the screen, see if any of those jerseys have changed position as our riders roll through. But we're going to need a regroup, that is for sure. Our leading groups are in 1s and 2s. So, leading group at the moment, Simon 8 at the front with Story in there. Let's take a quick run across to Story. And Story not taking the jersey, she's just backed off here, letting this group come up towards her. And you can see they're absolutely rattling in and through. A quick shout to slow down at the front, Annie Bishop. On his way back to fitness. We know Annie's a very fast boy. Lawrence Court still holding the green jersey in the men's, and the shout's coming out to just back it off till they get down to the gantry. I'm not sure it's going to be able to hold people off. There's a bit of a panic on at the front. They're worried that they're going to get dropped, and people just put the pressure on the pedals to roll up to the front. They push a little bit hard, and you can see it is just a shed 1 or 2 riders off the back of this group. So behind this group of the front runners, we've got Luke Taylor currently sitting at about 5, 6 behind. Let's drop across to Luke. So Luke on that Tron bike at the moment. He's got a group behind him. Chris from the Alliance MTB is at 5 seconds behind, 5 seconds in front. Equidistant is the back of the bunch with George Cooper of Sherwood Pines holding in there. And Taylor's currently pushing on hard to get into the back of the group. He's down to 4 seconds. But the main chasing pack at the moment are sitting at 6 seconds behind him. They've got 10 seconds to the main group now. There's not long for this to regroup. They're going in towards where the gantry is and the go line is. They need to get the pace picked up if they want to be on the wheels as they go in. Just watching Wood at the moment, and I think this is going to be Adge Wood. It is Adge on his way through. Very, very experienced rider. And great to see Adge. It even looks like Adge has got a big thick head of dark black hair. Scary, isn't it? I know this is rubbish. Sorry, because I've seen him give plenty of people a kick in when he was out and racing. And looking very, very good at the moment, rolling in with this. So Tiger Brownlee on his way through. Brownlee there, he's got Raccoon, they've got Evans in there. We've got Halsey, I think he's holding in this group. Whitehead is in here. At the moment, that's down to 7 seconds on the back of the bunch. So Russ has held on to them as long as possible. This is the gap. It's 7 seconds to the group in front. They're not quite on. Is anybody going to take this on at the front? We're going to dive right up to the front of the bunch. We're going to go straight to Russ at the moment, and I think Russ is going to be holding it. So let's see who is going to lead this out from the very, very front. Looks like Spence Hill, the man who was very quick early on, he's up there. And just seeing Wolf rolling around at the front here. Russ with the beacon over his head. We're going to concentrate with Russ at the minute. He knows how to hold the wheel. Round the corner we go. This group is holding together. What's the damage being done behind it though? Because remember, we nearly had that group back on and it's opened back up again. Oh, that's so demoralising when that happens. You get dropped, you come off the back of the group, you're hoping to hold it together. You almost make contact and you get to the attack point. Now, we're on our run out. Let's zoom out on our map at the top. You can see on the map there is the big King of the Mountains has appeared up on the top there. Remember that climb, it is 7k long. It's 4.6 miles. It's 400 plus meters of climbing. Remember the graphic, the fantastic Velo Viewer graphic. Remember, their segments are out there for everybody to use. Just go onto Velo Viewer's website. You can go onto Google and get it in there. It shows you exactly what you've got coming up. All the smart riders do it because they know that is absolutely key information. It's no good having the legs if your brain doesn't know where you're going to be attacking. Now, Luke Taylor's made it back in here. Losby are in here. Coyle's in here. Our men's green jersey is in here. Seeing lots of the women in this group and holding position nicely. Becky Story's in here. Sitting about wheel number 3 or 4 in this group. She's riding strong at the moment. It looks like Lily Swan is in this group. Imogen Wolf is in this group as well. And I think they're going to be our 3 key women in for the fight for the top 3. We've got Jess Evans is further back. I think Evans is currently 1 minute 10 down. So it is going to come from one of these 3. A women's winner of the Dottie Chain Gang. Remember, it's not a race, but it turns into winning. It's certainly going to do that today. The gradient at the moment is 1 to 2%. And we're going to have to see how that is going to change. Dropping down at the moment, our riders are just rolling along in. If we zoom out on our map, we're coming up to the first of the roundabouts. Normally this is a right hand turn. This time round that's going to change because we're going to be heading across. You can see we've gone up from the right hand lane and the right hand turn to the left hand side of the road, and as we go past that junction we're going to come to the left hand side of the roundabout. And that's going to take us onto this dual carriageway on the correct side to head up on to the hillside here. So now we're heading into the climb. It's flat at the moment. It doesn't stay flat for long. It drags up to the roundabout. You can just see the overpass in front. That is where it gets tough. Let's have a little bit of a look at the damage being done behind. The gap has absolutely smashed open. However, look at it. This is the group. Nobody wants to let a gap go at the moment. This is really tough stuff. Who is going to choose where they go? Now, last time we had people like Kogan going way too early and getting popped on the way through. Looks like Joey Walker's rolling around the front here. And now the gaps start to open up behind. Look at the shape of the group. It's gone from being one big blob, and the pressure is on at the back of this group. Who is going to feel the pressure first? Who's going to be the first off the back? I think Reed, Allen and Taylor are all in the danger zone at the moment. The pressure is on at the front, but nobody has opened up the gap. So at the moment, looks like Rick King of MTS Cycles is on the front with Simonite and Oxenham. Cam Richardson is right up there. Lawrence Cause there. Phil Pierce, Joey Walker are there. Becky Story's in this same group right on the very front. Andy Bishop is in there, but the back of the group is opening now. Russ is leading this on. He's opened up the throttles. I think this is an ambitious move. I don't care how much, Russ, you've been rested. This is going to hurt. If this is the pace you're going to set to the top, I don't think that's going to stay. Parr's gone round the top. Walker is in there in second wheel. So at the moment it's Parr, then Walker, then Richardson. Oxenham comes up, and they don't want to leave this out. Nobody's wanting to take this on the front. King comes back up onto the front again. And interesting to see, he's always wanted to be around that front position. Let's drop across to King. Let's look at those stats at the moment as he goes through. We're going to just try and jump in with King if we can. So here we go, we're in with King. He's one of our faster riders. He's in there. He's pushing 400 watts at the moment. And he's not letting that gap go. He's moving his way back up onto the front. Now, can King make this work for him? He's opening up a slight gap. Joey Walker pushing up to 8 watts per kilo, responding. Is this the counter-attack from Walker? I think it is. Walker has gone on the counter-attack. He's on 8.6 watts per kilo. He's holding at 8 watts per kilo. And he is nicely rolling it around there on that Tron bike on that Zwift concept. It's Cam Richardson who is leading the chase at the moment, and as Walker settles down to about 6.3 watts per kilo, Richardson is fighting to get back onto the wheel. If we take a look across, it's a 4% climb. We're coming up into the hairpins, and steaming alongside goes Richardson. Is there going to be a response from Walker here? You can see the gap was open, and Walker has pushed up. He's pushing up to nearly 7 watts per kilo. Now, these two riders are opening up a gap on Phil Pearce. Pearce is the rider in green behind. He's trying to bring that gap back down. If we look back between these riders and just try and get the camera angle right on this sweeping bend, very tricky to do as they come in towards these hairpins. It's a 7% climb, but Pearce has made contact here. So Pearce has got in there. He's on to the wheels. Joey Walker leading. Cameron Richardson in second place. Phil Pearce in third. Lawrence Coyle, the sprint leader in the men's competition, in third place. Then it's Dowtrix currently sitting in behind, sorry, in fourth place. And then Dowtrix in fifth. Rick King in sixth. It's Parr in seventh. Downing in eighth. Peacock in ninth. Becky Story currently sitting there, your women's leader, inside the top 10. But you can see Phil Pearce keeping on getting distanced. Every time that pressure is on, he's holding less watts per kilo. But these three, this trio of riders, have got a gap. So it's Richardson, Walker and Pearce. Now, let's see how Coyle is doing at the moment. This is Coyle on the group. Where is he? He's got company. Behind Coyle is Doughty and King in that order. So Doughty with the laser helmet on there, with the black and red helmet in the orange, in the pink. That is going to be King, who's just coming up on the left-hand side there as they make their way up. Meanwhile, up on the front, Walker, Richardson and Pearce still pretty much all together as they come in and round. So they're Group 1. Group 2, this is Doyle, Ring and Doughty. Then Group number 3, let's drop across. It's going to be Parr who's leading them. This is a group of 4 or 5 riders here. Let's take a look up. It's 5 riders. So Group 1, Walker, Richardson and Pearce. 17 seconds up the road. 8 seconds up the road from Russ and what is left. Can we call this a peloton? Not sure we can. It's only 5 riders, but that's what's happened. It's smashed to pieces. We've got Parr leading at the moment. We've got Becky Story, the women's leader, sitting in with this group and riding strongly, sitting second wheel here. Very smart riding here by Story. Then we've got Peacock, Downing in here. Smith is in here as well. Behind them, Oxenham is being distanced. And Oxenham, you can see the view from Oxenham up to the riders in front on this steep section of the climb. It's 4 seconds to Smith, who's in the back wheel behind Oxenham. You can see Gibbons, Dench, Simonite, West, all making the way up as through goes Gibbons, and he comes up past. We're going to see a response here from Oxenham. Yeah, he's pushing that watts per kilo up. Let's take a jump a little bit further up the road. Let's get right up to the front here. Joey Walker, Cameron Richardson. This is our leading duo. They've got Phil Pearce in there. He's sitting third wheel, is Phil. He's not got the let go of that gap at the moment. They've opened a 12-second gap now on the riders that are behind, and that shows you just how tough this is. Now, this is one of the easiest sections of this climb. If you remember that profile on the Velo Viewer, it was multicolored. That's because it's multiple gradients. This isn't a climb where you can just sit and in one gear and just tap out a rhythm. It gets steep, it gets shallow, it gets steep, it gets shallow. That really tests the riders. Goes up to 12%, drops down, and at the moment we're down on 1% gradient. So it's rolling along. It's going to feel like almost like a downhill after those steep sections, but that is a tough climb if you like to sit at a rhythm and you sit at one pace. If you can respond and kick, then you're going to be much happier with a stepped climb. But at the moment, this climb's certainly comfortable for Walker and Richardson, and it's Phil Pearce of the 3 riders who's yo-yoing around at the back. He can't afford to do that. If the gap goes over 6 meters, then the gap will go as we move on to this steeper section. Let's jump in with them now. They're on this steep section of climb. Here we go. On to the 8%, back to 3 to 4% as they come around the corner here. It is a tough stuff. You can just see that gradient of 4%, the difference between the vertical lines of the sides of the houses, the horizontal lines of the layers of bricks on there gives you an indication of how steep it is. 3%, it's dropped back off again. So has Phil Pearce. He needs to keep these gaps down. Maximum draft effect right on those wheels. Come on, Phil, time to get some OTE down your neck. You're going to need some energy drinks, so you've got to be on these wheels. You can't let that gap go behind Coyle starting to break away. So as these three make the way around, still locked together, it looks like Coyle, who's made a bit of a break here. Let's take a look behind him. You can just about see, we're going to have to go to our drone cam. You can see the riders are in the distance there. And it is Doughty who's leading the group behind. So Doughty at the moment. Let's take a little bit of a look up from him. We'll spin around. These are the two chasers. You can just see the distance going round that bend is Coyle. But he's got 12 seconds on them now. Rick King sitting on the back wheel here of Doughty. Then it's 22 seconds back to Peacock and Story. And at the moment, Story are leading them through. Then it's Peacock, followed by Downing, Parr, Smith, Gibbons, Oxenham, Dench and West going through. But up at the front, Joey Walker is tapping out a really good rhythm here. He's at 6.4 watts per kilo, and the gap is starting to open. He's doing the damage here. And as they come up, you can see the gap has opened. We're now up on to 7% gradient. This is tough stuff, but Walker handling this without any problems. Now on to 8% gradient, and if we take a little bit of a look back, you can see the damage that he's doing. He's now at 7.2. Richardson at 5 watts per kilo. Phil Pearce climbing onto the wheels of Richardson behind him. We're going to just drop back from Walker just for a second. Walker about halfway up the climb now on another of our steeper sections, but Joey Walker 440 watts coming out, 186 beats per minute. He's starting to push up towards the upper limit here. He knows how exactly where to run. Watch this heart rate, 184, 185. He's sitting exactly where he wants to be. 475 watts coming out as he pushes up into that 185, 186 beats per minute mark. Drops down to about 440, 420. If he goes down to about 184, 185, he's right on that superb spot where he can sit there and he can ride at this pace on a 10% climb. He's pushing out the watts and he's opening up the gaps. He's got 12 seconds on Richardson. Let's drop back to the rider behind, and you can almost feel the pace difference. Richardson's here, 15 kilometers an hour. Let's go up to Walker, 20 kilometers an hour on a 10% slope. Richardson is on a 10% slope at 16 kilometers an hour. That's the difference between these two riders. Richardson on the Mellenstein lightweight wheels there. He's gone to try and get the lightest wheel set he can. But the problem is at the moment, Walker is going off into this. It's at 17 seconds now. Phil Pearce is holding the wheels here. Let's have a look at Phil's bike. He's on some lightweight. I think those are the second lightest wheels on Zwift at the moment. A third lightest frame or fourth lightest frame as my memory serves me. The Wenger that's being used by Richardson, a more aero frame, a faster frame on the flat, not so good on the climbs, but neither of these riders can touch Joey Walker on that Zwift concept bike at the moment. The Tron bike as it's known. He's just on the little step at the moment, so it's going to level off as Joey makes his way, and you can see what he's got coming up in front of him. This is Joey's view at the moment as he comes in. He's going to take this left hand turn here, kicks up to 7-8% around that corner, 7% around that corner, and Joey Walker has clear air behind him. And if we take a look back from Joey, you're not going to see anybody because that gap is now 47 seconds. 47 seconds, 3/4 of the way up the climb, and all that damage being done from the roundabout at the bottom to the top. This is a storming ride. Joey Walker's not taking any prisoners at all on here. This is a stunning ride by Joey Walker, climbing the 8% gradient at over 20 kilometers per hour, 35k in, and at the moment just inside an hour's riding. He's absolutely hammering his way up this climb, and coming up to about 4/5 of the way up the climb. You can see Russ is in a group a little bit further back at the moment. He's got Smith for company, Gibbons behind him, Parr behind, but at the moment it's Walker in 1, Richardson at 35 seconds in 2, Pearce sitting at the same time on the wheels of Richardson in 3, Coyle a minute down in 4th, 1 minute 30 down in 5th is Dowtree, 6th is King, 7th Peacock at a minute and 3/4 with Story right behind. In 8th place, 9th is Smith, 10 is Downing still inside a minute, Gibbons 11th, 12th inside 2 minutes is Parr. 13th is Doxy, who's just outside 2 minutes now. Those time gaps though increasing with every pedal stroke that Joey Walker puts in behind. The battle is between Pearce here and Richardson. These are the two riders in second and third places. Pearce and Richardson coming through, and it's Pearce now who's on the front of these two riders, but they're not going to see Walker. He's 38 seconds up the road and is fast heading towards the top of the climb, and that is making life difficult for everybody. 20 seconds down is a Coyle. Now Coyle is not pushing the same watts per kilo out here, and that gap at 20 seconds, it's not going out that much. This could come down again if either of the front two blow, but I think Pearce and Richardson have accepted their fate. They know they're not going to catch Walker, who now pushes it up and is currently sitting a minute in front of Coyle and 40 seconds in front of Pearce and Richardson. So at the moment, as we come up towards the top of the climb, it is Joey Walker leading the ride out. It is then Phil Pearce, who is currently our rider, in second place. 2 seconds behind him is Richardson, and at the moment Phil Pearce is opening a gap on Richardson. Richardson, has he gone a bit hard too early? He tried to go with Joey Walker. Is he now paying the price? 4 seconds to Phil Pearce here. So the gap has gone at the moment, and you can see from the camera up in the helicopter, it's going to be a big old gap. Let's take a look from Richardson's viewpoint here. Let's get across. That's the view that Richardson sees. It's a Phil Pearce now at 6 seconds in front. And the gap is opening up between him and Walker. I think Phil is just about holding Joey in check. If we look back from Phil Pearce, yeah, you can't even see Richardson at the moment. There he comes just out into sight now behind Richardson. Is he going to get caught? He's going to be in danger. 27 seconds back to Coyle. Coyle working at 4.3 watts per kilo, but Joey Walker at the moment is absolutely demolishing this climb. He's now on the 4% section as he makes his way up this Innsbruck King of the Mountains. Currently riding on a 2% section because it eases off here before it starts to build again up towards the top of the climb. If we zoom out at the moment, looking for dots behind Walker, there's no dots to be seen at the moment. There's no dropping back dot to dot style as he now comes onto another steep step here, sitting and holding a nice steady rhythm. You can see that heart rate is backed off. He got the gap, and the heart rate dropping down to 177 at the moment for Walker, as Walker makes his way up this steep section of the climb, but he's looking smooth at the moment. 80 revs per minute, 178 beats per minute, and I think now secure. He knows he's got a 40-second gap on the nearest rider. That is Phil Pearce. Let's take a closer look at Phil here, riding at 96 revs per minute, just under 300, around about the 300 watts mark. 185 beats per minute. 15 seconds behind him is Richardson. Richardson now can't quite see Pearce in front of him, and Richardson rolling at 70 revs per minute, 250 watts or so, and really is now dropping back. Looks like Coyle 23 seconds down, currently in 4th place, and its 5th place is going to be Peacock at the moment, and Russ Downing now hovering outside the top 10 with Story, I think, just inside. Let's drop across to Joey Walker, our leader now. He's going to have the gantry in sight very, very shortly. You can see at the moment our leader here. This is Joey Walker, who is on the climb. 4% gradient at the moment for Joey, and there's nobody in sight behind him. He's looking very, very smooth here. If we take a look from behind, you can see that gantry is going to come up pretty quickly. The climb levels out as you go up and over the top, and Joey Walker is going to take this by some huge margin. It's going to be over a minute back to the nearest rider with 300 meters to go for Joey Walker. Is he going to push on over the top? He doesn't need to. I think he can stop and have a espresso or two at the top of this climb whilst he waits to have an ice cream. To be honest, at the top of the climb, Joey is looking super smooth here. And as he comes into towards the line, Joey Walker is going to take this in style. 1 minute 7 seconds, I think 6 seconds back to everybody else. Joey Walker goes through, the Vitus Pro rider doing that in style. Now let's drop back to second place. This is Phil Pearce riding, looking in focus. We're going to see if he's going to be able to keep this going. Nice revs, 100 revs per minute from Phil. He's going to be able to see that gantry in front of him. If we take a view, this is what Phil is going to see here. He can see the red in front of him. If we look back, the gap has well and truly opened up as he hits that 300 meters to go mark. Phil Pearce looking smooth on his way up. He's going to take second place. He's kicking up, and we're going to see what time he does. Joey Walker's time for the climb, 16 minutes 11 seconds. It's going to be 17.5, I think, here for Phil Pearce. He's about a minute and a half behind Walker as he comes up to the line. So Joey Walker with a 16.11, Phil Pearce with a 17.06 in second place. It's going to be Richardson, the rider, in third as he hits the 200 meters to go mark. It's going to be Richardson who's going to come in. He's going to take the third place on the King of the Mountains. 16.11 for Walker, 17.06 for Phil Pearce from Hope Factory Racing. Richardson comes in. He's going to go underneath the gantry. What time is he going to take? He comes in and he clocks in a time. It's a 17.36 for Richardson. Next up is going to be Coil Call, 200 meters to go here. The sprint winner in the Donny Chain Gang today, coming up towards the line. He's going to come through with the fourth fastest time, as well as taking the sprints jersey. Joey Walker, of course, taking the top points in terms of mountain prizes. And Coil comes through at 17.58 inside of 18-minute effort. Next up is going to be Peacock. Great ride here by Peacock. Richard Peacock coming through towards the line, and got to say, a great rider by Peacock here. He's going to come through. He is going to take fifth place here as he comes into the line. Fantastic big kick into the line, nearly 400 watts here as he goes underneath. Fifth place for Peacock with an 18.53 and a 35-second gap back to the man behind, who's just come through the 300 meter mark. He's got currently 200 meters to go. This is going to be Doughty. He's got Doxy behind him. If we take a little bit of a look in on him at the moment, you can just see it isn't going to be Doughty who's going to come through to take sixth. He's going to hold that from Doxy. James Doxy's not going to get onto Brett Doughty as he comes through. Doughty comes through with an 18.55 behind him. Doxy's going to be the next rider through. Doxy comes through now. He's got a faster time. He's got sixth place, and that is because he was closing down the gap. Then it's going to be eighth place, for Rick King here of MTS Cycles. But our women's winner here at the Donny Chain Gang, on her way into the line, it's going to be Becky Story from the Isle of Man doing the business once again. Story, absolutely class riding from Story as she comes up to the line. It's absolutely powerful ride, holding that 4.3 watts per kilo. She comes through. She's the fastest women's rider. She's going to come through with the ninth fastest time as she comes in with a 19.38. A fantastic ride, staying clear of Gibbons all the way through. As Gibbons comes through, he's coming through in 10th place. It's going to be 11th place for Smith. So Smith is going to come through. He's going to take 11th. It's going to be Russ Downing immediately behind with the beacon in 12th place. And it's going to be Parr who comes through in 13th. Then this is the group. They're fighting for 14th, 15th and 16th place here. So this is for 14th, 15th and 16th place. Let's take a look up above. So at the moment, 14th place available for Parr, Spence Hill or Dedge. Leading them at the moment, it is Spence West or Dedge. So it is at the moment Spence Hill who is leading that GCN kit. Then it is going to be 80 Dench, who's kicking here. Dench is kicking hard here. He doesn't want to be out sprinted as he runs in towards the line. They're at 200 metres to go. Dench on the front here with the Bikes and Beers jersey on. Behind him then it is going to be Spence Hill with GCM, but moving up on Spence's shoulder comes West. 100 metres to go. Are we going to see a kick? We are seeing a kick, and it's West who's got the kick on. Everybody's got the drop on Dench here, and it is West who comes through. He's going to take 14th, Dench in 15th, Spence Hill in 16th place, and that group coming in inside the top 20. We're going to drop back now to the next two riders. This is Charlton and Simonite. It's going to be Simonite who's going to come through just in front there of Charlton. Behind then Andy Bishop, and I think Andy Bishop's going to get a top 20 here as he comes into the line here. Bish doing the business on his comeback after injury, and going to be a top 20 ride, I think, here. So Bishop comes through inside the top 20. Then it's going to be Leg coming in and through. Great riding by Leg ahead of Blackford and Woodall, but these riders are shattered all over the hillside here. That's 16-11 by Joey Walker, smashing it up in the men's competition. 19:38 for Becky Story, again inside that 20-minute mark for Story, doing the business in the women's. So Blackford then Woodall, then it's going to be Thornley just making his way up towards the line. Great riding and he's way in. If we take a look, we've got lots of riders distanced on the way down, so Thornley's going to come through, and Thornley comes across the line at the top of the climb. Next up, it's going to be second place in our women's competition, and this is going to be for Lily Swan. Swan putting in a cracking ride here again today, showing just why she's a class rider and always a force to be reckoned with. So she comes up to the line. It is going to be Lily Swan who's going to come in and through next, just in front there of Dobson. Swan second in the women's competition there, and putting in a storming ride now. Just taking a little bit of a look back, I think we're going to see Mr. Hussein on his way up. Mr. Hussein's our next rider. So Altaf coming up towards the line. He's got Jeff Evans behind third in the women's competition. So it's going to be Hussein who comes through. Well, and Altaf is going to be our next men's rider through. But then it is going to be Jess Evans. So Evans from the Assos squad comes through, and Evans our third woman. So in the women's it's Story coming through first, Swan in second, Evans in third. In the men's competition it was Walker, followed then by Pearce and Richardson. Still plenty of riders on the way through. Bundy, Pearce and Goddard all coming through. Taylor on his way through. Don't forget, we want to hear your stories about how you've improved riding the Donny Chain Gang, your experiences on the Chain Gang. The more we hear about those, the better. Don't forget, lots of fantastic Oakley gotaways courtesy of the guys at 1080. Remember, support the people who support your sport. These are the guys who are looking after riders out on the Chain Gang. And remember, people like Ben at Grand Tour Coffee keep me fueled up. Double espresso definitely needed for today's ride. Really hectic out there today. And a big thank you to everybody who supported it. OT keeping my voice lubricated as well. And big thank you to them as Lee Allen now approaching the line. So Lee's going to be our next rider into the top of the climb on that Zwift concept bike, the Tron bike. Behind him then, and just see Whitehead, Wolf and Edwards, the next of our riders. I think Whitehead and Edwards sandwiching a wall, so it's going to be Whitehead the next ride. Let's take a little bit of a look back. I don't think it's far back. No, it isn't very far back at all to Isla Wolf. So sorry, to Imogen Wolf. Imogen's going to be our next rider behind Whitehead. So it is going to be Andrew Whitehead who goes through. Then it's Wolf behind. So here comes Wolf. So Wolf is our next rider in and through. Fourth woman up and through, and you see backing off those pedals. I don't blame you, Imogen, at all. Now behind, we're taking a look back. Edwards, it's going to be, I think. Let's take a look back. Yeah, Edwards has got the gap here on Luke Stone. Then it's going to be Reed behind. So the Chevrolet man Edwards is going to be the next of the riders coming in. He's coming across through, I think it's the 200 metres to go mark. Behind Edwards, the Chevrolet rider on his way in towards the gantry finish, hitting 100 metres to go. It is going to be Edwards, our next rider across the line here, looking super smooth. Here he comes underneath the gantry. And as you see the gantry go over the top there, Edwards comes through. He's in front of Luke Stone, our next rider out on course. Luke, of course, with that Tron bike, 50,000 metres climbed in ascent to get yourself that bike. And Luke's done that, so he's our next rider through. Then it's going to be Reed pushing hard towards the end in that Wahoo kit. Remember, Wahoo, of course, looking after riders with the best turbo trains in the business, connected up. Certainly, in terms of my opinion, the best turbo trains in the business, always popular, and lots of the riders on the Donny chain gang on them for a good reason. Behind then, it's going to be Edmonds, who's making his way up towards the line now. How far back? 20 seconds. He's got a safe gap behind him, almost equidistant sandwich between Reed and Raccoon. Raccoon, the Italian rider riding in GB. At the moment, it is Edmonds who comes through. Then it's going to be Raccoon, our next rider, who's making his way up towards the line. Just taking a little bit of a look back to see what that gap is. That looks like it's got to be Rocky. You can't be called anything else with the name we like, Raccoon. So it's going to be Mr. Raccoon coming in towards the line. And he is going to be our next rider through. 7 seconds clear of Barnard. So Barnard in that Trek Segafredo top there. Very nice top. And that on Swift had to do the challenge to get that one. He comes through in front of Brownlee. Brownlee's going to be our next rider in towards line in the green jersey, riding up for Tri Central. So a good ride by him as he comes in and over the line. He's just ahead of another of our Bikes and Beers jerseys riders. This is going to be Jose Key coming through. So again, another rider who's clearly been up the outdoors. He's got the mitts on. They're one of the most common prizes that you get as you go over the line, but you've got to climb the outdoors to get into the spinning roulette wheel to get that. He's going to just hold on from Lindley. Lindley coming strong at the end there, but Lindley not quite able to close the gap down. It's a little bit of a gap back to Thornton, Corris, Chris from the Alliance MTB. So Thornton's our next rider. We'll take a little bit of a look back, see what the gap is. I think he's safe at the moment. So Thornton safe as he comes in towards the line. He comes to the 100 metres to go, a marker with a gap of 7 seconds over Corris from the Isle of Man there. So Thornton comes through. Now it's going to be Corris, the next rider in towards the line. The Isle of Man rider coming up to the line, the top of this fearsome climb. Nearly 5 miles of ascent, over 400 metres of climbing. Then it's going to be Chris from the Alliance MTB squad. He's still prolific on Instagram. That man never gives up taking pictures. He's definitely lost some weight. He's not like that avatar, that's for sure. He's getting lighter all the time, and that's going to be helping him when it comes to climbing. He goes through. He's just ahead of Andy Hawes and Maddie Smith. So Williams comes through. Then it's going to be Andy Hawes who's going to come through just in front of Maddie Smith from the Bolsover and District Cycling Club. And as they go in and through, Horsey goes through, then it's Maddie Smith, and they're going to be followed by Stefano Borelli. Don't forget, if you're a chef in Sheffield, currently on the hunt for some work, go see if you can join the Nonce team. Stefano on the hunt for some new stuff to join the award-winning team. It's Mr. Borelli, the general manager there. Good ride there, Stefano, as he comes up and over in front of the man from Cycleways. Our next rider in and through the line, 7 seconds clear of Hayward. Hayward's our next rider coming through, and he's got a big gap now, so Hayward our next rider in and through. Still plenty of riders out on the courses. We make our way up this climb. Hayward putting in a 28 minutes 13 seconds climb, just under half an hour for the climb, on his way in and through. Next of our riders up onto the climb is Mr. Kipling, who's just ahead here of Shez from the Vitus Pro squad. So Shez Pro on her way, Shez is on her way up there. That's Shez Pridham just behind Barry Kipling. Kipling on his way up for the MTS squad there, and Kipling just coming in towards the barrier, so just coming in towards that 100 metres to go mark very shortly. So Kipling in, 100 metres to go for Kipling to go over the King of the Mountains mark here. Barry's going to come in, I think, just inside the 30-minute mark. And he's going to be followed through the line. Here comes Shez. So good ride, Shez. Good to see Shez out there. Shez with the Oakleys on there. You can just see the little O on the side then. Don't forget, make sure you get your stories into the Facebook page. Let us know how you've been doing on the chain gang, how the improvements have gone, and you can be in with a chance. The best story is going to win some Oakley shades, Oakley glasses, as are worn by Russ, by me, by the Downing squad, and lots of other riders, including Shez as well. Shez's collection is well famed, believe me. I've seen Shez's collection in real life. I think the only thing she spends more money on is probably coffee, a bit like us, and I'm sure, no doubt, a fan of Big Ben Jenko's Grand Tour coffees. Meanwhile, Kuslug's on his way in towards the line here, not too far for Kuslug to go. He's going to come through as he makes his way up the climb. Remember, the fastest time in and through was Joey Walker in the men's. It was Becky Story in the women's. So storming right in as Kuslug, so you can see the Watts coming down here as he goes up and over the top, and I'm not surprised. It's a long old climb and there for our riders. Kuslug's coming in just outside that 30 minutes mark, and I'm sure that'll be his target next time around to come in sub 30. Meanwhile, Martin Bolt a little bit further back down climbs here on the 10% section. He's got company here, so Bolt with Jules here. Jules Big on his way up the climb at the moment. They've got a little bit of a gap on Davis and Ladle. Yeah, making the way up there, and about 72 minutes on me because I'm still sat on the start line. So Martin Bolt's one of our more senior riders. He's not quite collecting his bus pass yet, although that does seem to be getting later and later in terms of time. Just on the climb, 3.6 watts per kilo. Just holding the wheel there of Jules, doing 2.5 watts per kilo. These are two riders rolling around on the 7% climb. If we zoom out on the map, you'll see we've still got plenty to go. If you just look in the centre of the map, you'll actually see the tiny red beacon just climbing up. It doesn't move when we move the map about on the actual hill, and they're just about to come into the more gradual roll off over the top. Still two riders behind them. That's Davis. Those are the two white dots behind Davis and Ladle behind. Mr. Ladle clearly stopping for cake on his way up and through. Now, if he's not moved too far from his hometown, if it's the right man I'm thinking of, it's not too far from his home, out and across to the guys out at Birkin Fisheries. But we'll find out. One day he's going to put his picture on his profile, and then I'll know exactly what he looks like, whether it's the right man. He was quick. He always used to win the 10 time trial last time I saw him. Also up here, of course, we've got Owen Davis from the cystic fibrosis team, and he's currently riding that GCN kit just out of the saddle, 47 revs per minute at 200 watts. Davis just in front of Ladle at the moment. So Davis on the slopes chasing Jules and Martin Bolt. Martin Bolt at the moment leading these two out. It's not going to be long. We're just coming into the trees. You can see just on the map up above the on the top right hand side, just make out the little gantry, the dotted gantry. But if we take a little bit of a sneaky peek, we can go onto our drone camera. We can zoom all the way out and round, and you'll just see, there we go, the gantry starts to appear now. We're just coming up the first of the signs, 300 metres to go. We're going to see a sprint. Come on, Mr. Bolt. Come on, Jules. You might have ridden together from early on in this ride, but are we going to see a sprint out between these two as they go up towards the top? I think we are, because Bolt is kicking up to 4.7 watts per kilo. He's not getting a response yet. Jules now kicking up to 4 watts per kilo. So at the moment, it's Bolt. This is what we love to see. Sprint out towards the end here, and these riders absolutely working all the way to the finish. Doesn't matter where you are on the Doddy chain gang. Our riders are working hard all the way into the finish. The groups appearing. I think it's going to be Martin Bolt who's going to come through. You can see the gantries are not too far away. If you look back, you can just see the gap has opened up on Jules at the moment. So our next rider in is going to be Martin Bolt. Bolt, our red beacon. The man out, just making sure everybody at the back's okay. He comes in and underneath the gantry. He's in front of Jules. Jules is making his way in underneath the gantry behind him. And Jules is going to come up and through underneath. So Jules coming through with a 29.18 as he comes in and underneath in the King of the Mountains. Which leaves us two riders out there. This is going to be Davis and Ladle, separated by 49 seconds out on the course at the moment. Ladle just dropping down to 1.5 watts per kilo, 2 at the moment for Davis, who's on one of the steeper sections. Both riders not too far from the top of the climb now. So we're going to let them roll their way in, and we're going to be just give you a quick roundup. So great action out there, great to see everybody riding, a great control as well, because we saw everybody on the way coming into the finish, coming up to that, and we didn't lose too many riders too early, and they formed into groups, and that's what we want to see on the chain gang. We want to see all the riders giving it some, no matter where they are. That's exactly what we want to see. And we're still watching, got two riders out there, they're coming in, so in Davis' cystic fibrosis team, and Daniel Ladle, Dan Ladle, on his way in, riding behind. Both riders now coming up towards the top of the climb. Out here on what is one of the toughest courses we use on the Donny Chain Gang, that is the Innsbruck climb. It is the climb up to the Innsbruck King of the Mountains after party. 3 tough laps, including the leg snapper climb that normally breaks groups apart. Anyway, we managed to keep it all under control there. These riders now riding up to the top of the climb, a 4.6 mile climb, 400 metres, 7.5k if I remember correctly from the graphics earlier of how long the climb is. It's a huge climb, but these riders did an amazing job up here, and they're going to finish. And we want to hear your stories. Don't forget, if you want to win Oakley hats, if you want to win Oakley shades, if you want to win Oakley t-shirts, give us a shout. Let us know your stories about how you've improved. We've seen lots of really inspirational stories on the Facebook page. So go on to Facebook, go on to the Donny Chain Gang page on Facebook. Get those stories up. Tell us what happens. Don't forget you can watch it all back on YouTube. Myself, Matt Payne, donated all the coverage. All comes to you free. No charges to anybody. It's all about keeping our sport together during lockdown, and we've just kept rolling it on. It's been so much fun watching, and it's good practice for me as well. Keep the odd vocal cords in condition, a bit like anything. They need training too. They have to keep on top of those with lots of talking to keep it going. So great to see the action. Myself, Russ and Dean really have loved watching the stories. Remember, we're going to be keeping an eye out for those Oakley prizes from 1080. A massive thank you to 1080 and all of our sponsors, the guys who you're seeing out there, right up there, from Swift, Oakley, Muckoff, 1080, the guys are giving us prizes, providing us with the power to keep going. This fantastic platform is brought to you by Swift, Grand Tour Coffee, Pinarello, OTE, HMT Hospitals, Mallorca Cycling, all the cycling community coming together to give you what is a great ride, a great training session, and of course the opportunity to feature like a pro with our next rider on his way in. Let's just drop back in across and let's get our last 2 riders. I'm not going to give up at this stage. We're going to see them all out. To use a very famous quote, we count them all out, we're going to count them all back in again. So our next rider coming on his way in, this is going to be Owen Davis. He's our next rider approaching the top of the climb. He's into the barriers, and that means now with about 100 metres left to go, it is going to be Davis of the cystic fibrosis team coming through, cresting the climb, and underneath the gantry he goes. Great riding, good stuff, Owen. Good to see you back out on the course again. And Davis coming in and through the top of the climb there. Great riding, buddy. Now that means one more rider out on the course as we see Owen start to drop his way down the far side, and that means we're going to drop across to Dan Ladle. We're going to just let him roll his way up and through whilst we keep an eye on that. Don't forget, guys, all of our sponsors, they look after Russ. They mean that Russ can get these right in. Really hard to do that on Swift. You know, it's so popular, even now that we start to see really gorgeous weather. Don't forget, we're back on Thursday. Thursday, it's a much nicer course as far as I'm concerned. No big long hills. You can go around Greater London Flat. It is going to be fast, it's furious. We know where those trigger points are on that climb, coming in towards the underpass, where they are on the underpass, and the drop out the other side, coming up the climb, out, and then dropping down into T Square. Lots of fast sprints, but big groups, fast times, lots of groups forming, great riding from everybody usually on that circuit, loads of great control, and we see some great chain gang spirit. And that's what we want to see, and that is what Dougie Bunn, the man who tonight's show really is in memory of, because we want to wish his family well. And thank you to everybody who was out at the funeral yesterday. And of course, the man himself doing the business time and time again. So great to see our riders out and riding on the chain gang, out doing the business, as currently Dan making his way up to the line. And Ladle now, with only a few hundred metres left to ride, we'll go back and focus on him before we round out the show. So here we go, Ladle on his way up. Let's give you a look. Let's see if we can see the droplets of sweat on his forehead as he comes into shot. Here he comes, the man in black himself, riding on some deep rims there. Maybe not the best choice to go up the hill, but definitely the best choice to stay in with the bunch. 300 metres left for Dan as he comes in towards line. 177 watts coming out on his way through. Are we going to see a final little quick kick into the line? Don't know whether he's got it in his legs left. 3 watts per kilo. I think this is a bit of a push on. 200 metres left to go. Remember, he's going to roll over that top. He's got a nice downhill. Lots of our riders using that to warm down. So if you've been riding, whether you've been watching, if you've been looking after a rider whilst they've been riding, thank you so much. Make sure you tell your friends to subscribe. We're going to keep the action going. Remember, it's not meant to be a race. It always ends up as such, with lots of great guests on there. So a massive thank you to all of our riders, all of our sponsors, to you for watching. My name's Matt Payne. It's an absolute pleasure putting words to the action as that final sprint concludes. Keep it safe. Maybe see you out in Peak District Road tomorrow. If not, let's all join up once again on Thursday for the Donny Chain Gang.